Hi and welcome to Online Appliance Tech. Today we're going to go over the service test mode for the newer model Kenmore cold or the Whirlpool refrigerator. Here's the model number so you can kind of compare. So first thing you want to do is unplug the unit. Then plug it back in within like 2 to 5 seconds. Then you have 5 minutes to do the service test mode or activate the diagnostic mode, I would say. Here are the list of common buttons. They're kind of the same. The only difference between the both of them is crushing cube usually says ice type, but it's basically the same display. So let's get started. So to activate service test mode, you want to hit this first button on your far left, the freezer, and put it down to 1. Vice versa, the refrigerator side down to 1. Then you're going to hold these two down at the same time, ice type and freezer. Then the LEDs will light up. Then you'll press each button one by one, starting from the left to the right to disappear each light. Then all the lights will start to blink. Then you'll press the light button to activate the first diagnostic test. So the first test is a freezer sensor test. As you can see, the one on the left is 1 line, which is the test that we're in, and the one on the right is 3, which means it's passed. As you can see here, we have an example, pass test display. So now you'll press the light button to deactivate the test, and you'll press the light button again to activate test 2, which is the refrigerator sensor. As you can see here, you have 2 on the left and 3 on the right. The 3 on the right indicates that it did pass, and 2 on the left is the test mode. As you can see here, once again it does pass. Midway through the video I'll go more in depth with these test modes. So press the light button again to deactivate this test. Now by pressing the light switch again, we're in the defrost sensor test. So as you can see, the 3 on the right it passed, and the 3 on the left is the test mode. 3. So once again, here's more information. If it was an open circuit, we would have 1 light on the far left and 3 to pass. Press the light to move forward. Now let's press the light button one more time. Now we're going to activate the compressor and the condenser fan motor. So at this point they should be running. As you can see, you have 4 on the left. This is the test mode. At this point your condenser fan motor and your compressor should be running. Now let's press the light button to get out of this one and move to the next step by pressing the light button one more time. Now we're going to test the damper. This will open up the damper. At this point you should feel cold air coming out the damper. If not, that probably means you have a bad damper. Now let's press the light switch to move out of this test mode, and then we'll press again to move to the next test mode. Damper heater. The damper heater's job is to not allow the door to either open and stay stuck or closed and not allow cold air to enter the fresh food. So this is a little heater that keeps that or prevents that from happening. Now let's get out of this test mode, press the light button, and then press one more time to move to the next test. So this is a defrost heater test. So say if your fresh food section is not that cold and your freezer is really not that cold and you have a big layer of ice on the back wall at the bottom, and you activate this test and you hear no type of cracking or popping sounds, more than likely you have a bad sensor, thermostat or heater, or even a main control board, which I just had a recent on the 106 Kenmore job I did. So now we'll get out of this test mode and move to the next test. Hit the light button, then hit one more time to activate the next. This is the evaporator fan motor test. This is a good test. So say if your ice maker is dripping, your freezer is only cold at the bottom, not the top, and your fresh food is fairly warm, this will definitely be a good test. If it doesn't work, more than likely it's a bad fan, which is a common problem. Now we'll press the light switch to move out and press again to move to next test. This next test is the dispenser light, meaning the light above where the water comes out. So if you activate this test and your light doesn't turn on, I would try replacing the bulb first and then move from there if it still does not work. Okay, let's get out of this test mode, hit the light button, and we'll basically start from scratch on the next part. It'll be a little bit more explain. I'm going to go over exactly what each part does and what I would test if I had that problem or saw that problem, and just be a little bit more in depth with what to look for. Okay, let's get started. The first one is the freezer sensor. So if you put it in diagnostic mode for this test and then it shows pass, great. If it says shorted or open, more than likely it's your thermistor itself. The second thing it could be is your main control board is not corresponding with it. Okay, moving to test 2. This is the refrigerator sensor. So it's the LED 2 on the left, and then on the right it will show the results, which is pass, shorted, or open. Same concept, it'll either be the thermistor or the main control board which would cause this to fail. Now let's go to defrost sensor. This defrost sensor is basically a sensor on the evaporator. If your unit is not defrosting correctly, it could be this sensor, so this will definitely be a great one to test. However, if you are not a technician or don't have a multimeter, you can just kind of replace this one first, since it's a lot cheaper than the main control board. Okay, test mode for compressor and condenser fan motor. So say if your unit is not cooling that well, more than likely it's your condenser fan motor. If it's not cooling at all, it's compressor. But if you want to see if it's actually working or not, just put this in test mode and then see if the compressor and the condenser fan motor runs. If it does not run, more than likely, or I would say the compressor doesn't run, it could be the relay itself. If the condenser fan motor doesn't run, I would check for voltage if you can, or if it's just barely moving, I would just replace the condenser fan motor. Okay, the next test is the damper opener test. If this damper does not open, your fresh root section will be warm. So this will be a good test to see if it actually opens. If it does, if you do put this in test mode, you should be able to feel the cold air come on the outside of the damper. If not, more than likely you have a bad damper or a defrost problem. So make sure to check the back wall and make sure you have no type of frost buildup on the back wall. Okay, the next test is the damper heater test. So if this damper heater does not work correctly, the damper will not open and close, and basically you'll have a refrigerator side that's freezing or lukewarm. So this will be a good test, and you can visually check to make sure you have no type of ice around the damper area. So the next test is the defrost heater test. So say if your fresh food department is kind of not that cold and the freezer at the top is kind of warm and the bottom is way colder and your ice is melting, and you have a layer of ice on the back wall, more than likely you have a defrost problem. So it could be either the main control board or the heater. Okay, the next test is the evaporator motor test. Problems, or what you'll get out of this if it does not work: your fresh root section will be warm, your ice will start to melt, and only at the bottom of the freezer will be cold compared to the top. So activate this test, you should see or hear your motor running. So the next test is the dispenser light test. This is the light that is above the dispenser where the water comes out. Once you activate this test, your light should turn on. If it does not, more than likely you have to replace the light bulb. The next test is the water dispenser valve test. So if you activate this test and you hear some type of vibration in the back right corner of the fridge, that means your valve is trying to work but it's locked up. Or if it doesn't work, it could just be a bad valve or the main control board not sending power to the valve. But more than likely, it's common just to be the water in the valve. Next test is the RC door switch for refrigerator side. So once you put this in test mode, just open the door, see if the light's on, then just hold the light switch down to see if the lights turn off. Next test is the freezer door switch. So same thing, put it in test mode, open the door, see the light's on, press the door switch to see if the light is off. Okay, this is the ice paddle test. So you'll put it in this test mode, and then once you press the paddle, you'll see the one LED on the far right, the one on the left, light up. That indicates the paddle is working correctly. Okay, the next test is the ice harvest test. So say if you're not getting no ice, you have ice in the ice maker, but it's just stuck, you can activate this harvest to see if your ice maker is turning over. If it tries to turn over but doesn't, it means you have a bad ice maker. And if you don't have no water in the ice maker, more than likely you have a bad water inlet valve, or the ice maker is not calling or sending power to the valve to send water up. Here's actually an ice maker water fill test, so you can actually activate this fill test and water should come from the valve to the ice maker. Great test. The next test is the ice tray thermistor test. This is the thermistor for the ice maker and the freezer. And the next test is the service completed test. All the LEDs will light up. I would just unplug the fridge and let it restart. Well, I hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe for more future tips and videos. And if you have any questions, just check out our website above and we'll be there to help you. Thank you.